When my son asked me if he could be involved in professional sport, I said yes, of course you can. And he said how? He said there's no one in sport who has any of the challenges that I do. My aim was to find these athletes, coaches, professionals, and interview them and share their stories so that we can show the world what is beyond perception. Hello and welcome to Beyond Perception Podcast, a podcast created to explore the world of sport and the people who are involved in it, from the athletes, coaches and staff who are both on our screens and behind the scenes. Further to this, we want to delve deeper into the neurodiversity and physical disability of our guests and learn what it takes to be where they are and inspires others out there. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Tatiana. Tatiana, how are you?
I'm pretty good, Greg. Back into my normal environment of being back home in the UK after 6 to 7 months. Yeah, 6 months in the Netherlands. It feels the same. Nothing has changed. How have you been?
I've been okay. I have started back in the Yorkshire Rugby Academy. Have started back, so we're in pre-season and have been doing our build-up ready for a change to the Academy Leagues. We've got some games coming up in August, so that's been pretty fun. Obviously, we've had the podcast go out, and our episodes are out there now as we are doing this special episode, and it's been really nice to hear some feedback of some friends and family and a couple of people in the outside world, and so far it's a really nice feeling to get that positivity coming back that way. And then lastly, I have started my marathon training, which is far too early, but I know that I'm going to have to find a way of keep doing bits to make sure that I at least finish in April next year.
Yeah, it's never too early. For me, I would have started, well, not like I'll ever do that, so props to you, but I would have started training years before, so big, massive congrats. Our followers will already see that on our Instagram, but that's going to be really exciting, and we can't wait to follow you on your marathon journey. What was the charity again?
So we're running it for the Neuromuscular Centre, which is so based in Winsford. It's quite close to me and my family, with it providing some really good and helpful support for my wife and my sister-in-law. So really happy to do that for them. So yeah, please get donating.
No, congrats again. That's amazing. Yeah, about the podcast, that's what I was going to say. Nothing has changed here apart from the fact that we've been hiding slowly and making slowly but surely over since February, really, isn't it? March, February time. It's finally coming on the big screens on YouTube and Spotify, and it's been exciting. It's been really cool for me, at least, to hear it, to actually listen to what we had to say instead of listening to it, so edit it over and over and over again. So it felt quite interesting and kind of surreal.
So have you actually listened to them as they've been being released?
Yes, I have. I'm like, oh, hey, my voice sounds like this. Hey, Greg sounds like this. I had to listen to it a few times to stop either making changes in my head or stop myself from editing it and telling Reese, take that off, I'm going to put another version. But no, I think what we did is amazing, and I hope the listeners can also see and feel as well through our stories and through our guest stories the message that we want to spread out.
Yeah, and like before we move into this part of our episode, first of all, big congratulations to you, because you've been a massive help in getting it all edited, as well as being the co-host and also trying to complete a study whilst abroad and falling off your bike and breaking arms and bones and having to put your stabilizer on. So like, huge thank you for all your help so far. It's been a massive help. So big congratulations to you as well for all of that.
No, thank you so much once again for making this happen and for growing this idea as well. So couldn't do it without you.
So today is all about having a review and looking at Series 1. And I suppose the first question I want to ask you is, who's been the most interesting guest we've had on for you and why?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. I feel, not to be like just generalizing stuff, but I think each guest has brought something of their own. Like, yeah, I don't know. I hold, this is really weird, but I hold a different memory to each guest. Like Noah, for example, loved and beloved Noah. You, like, surprised me with him. You were like, I have something different for you today. You're going to get on with it. I don't know if you remember, probably not. But you were like, let's break the ice a bit. Here you go, our first guest. And I kind of knew it was Noah. And then you were like, my son, Noah. And I was like, perfect. So, like, with that, it was like one memory. With Alicia being our only female for the season, it was another memory. Every guest has its own. With Tom and him and me speaking about learning different languages, with him being dyslexic. Serbia, it's really interesting, like especially when it comes to spelling and stuff. In Serbia, it's like you say a word, you spell it how you say it, and you read it how you write it, basically.
Dyslexia is very similar to what you're talking about there. So like I would have been, is that when you learn a language, you're learning it, you're behind everyone. As a kid at school, that's how I would have. So the experience you probably felt coming over and being like, what's going on, new language.
There isn't a favorite because they all bring like their own bits to it. Yeah, sorry for playing it safe and pulling a basic answer, but that's where I stand. What about you? Do you have a favourite guest from the show?
Yeah, 100%. It's an obvious answer. So Noah was my favourite guest because I'm biased. So it was really good to get Noah on. Noah was so excited as well. He'd gone into school, told all his staff that he was going to be on a podcast with his dad. Kept minding me every week to go, when's it coming out? When can everyone listen to it? Then he told everybody about it. Then he got some feedback at school. And he loved it. And then he was a bit like, I think I could come on again and maybe do a bit more. I'm like, yeah, of course. So like, yeah. So
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Proud dad
yeah.
moment. Proud son and dad moment going on in
Yeah,
the past
exactly.
Good. What is your funniest memory from the season?
So I have two moments what do stand out. I've already mentioned one of them, if I'm being really honest. The fact that we jumped onto a call and I think week one you fell off your bike, week two you fell off your bike again and got quite hurt. And once we realised you weren't hurt, I realised how funny it actually was. So that's probably one of them. And then the other one what stands out is that we got Michael Thompson on, which I think was episode 3. And as he come on offline, we're having a quick chat, and I go, "What do you want to be called? Michael, Mike, Mikey?" He said, "I'd like to be called Michael." And we went, "Right, we'll press record." Away we go, and I go, "Right, we've got Mikey with us." And lastly, do you want to be called Michael, Mike, Mikey? What do you want to be known as on the call?
Mike's fine.
Mike's fine. There you go. Welcome, Mikey. Oh, bloody hell, I've called you Mikey firstly. Oh.
No, don't worry.
This will go well in the bloopers. So Bush was like, literally just asked him and got it completely wrong. Let's start again. And then other than that, probably the other bit what does stand out is probably the amount of times that we've got it wrong and we've said something in a build-up or in a preview or an ending part and we spend 40 minutes later trying to recover from it. So those are my moments that do stand out as funny.
Yes. Yeah, I don't even... The amount of editing I had to go through, that was fun. I think my funniest moment is probably in episode 4 with Scott Burns when he was telling us how he lost sight in one of his eyes, and you just went, "So sorry to hear that, but this is great content for the podcast. It's great to hear that you lost your eyesight." So that was quite funny. And another one is probably with Alicia when I was speaking something and I just completely forgot to ask the question, and I just ended what I was going to say without asking the question, and you just went, "Okay, let me just carry on asking the questions. If that's okay, Tatiana?" I don't know. I actually don't know if I kept that in because I felt really, really, really embarrassed. I don't know if I kept it in, but if I didn't, I'll cue the clip in. But if I did, go listen to Alicia's episode.
Just on that, that's brilliant because I've completely forgot any of this, by the way. Well, look, the bit around Scott was the fact that I've met Scott in some different ways, and that's something I had no idea about. So when he did actually tell us, it just was so it just struck me, and I was like, this is why we're doing what we're doing.
I still bump into stuff. I still get bumped into quite a lot in shopping centres and supermarkets, because it's not like the autism. It's not a visual disability. You can't tell that I'm autistic, or that I've got monocular vision, which is the sight in just one eye. And you get rammed into with the troll, and it's like, you're blind or something. Technically, yeah, I am, but you can't tell because it's exactly the same as the other eye.
No,
and hopefully it came across in the right way. Yeah,
exactly.
Scott seemed to be okay with it.
Yeah, I feel like he would have told you off if you took it the wrong way. But no, definitely, I think that's exactly in a fun way. We're proving a point, and we are trying to show that this is what we look for, and this is what we hope to get out there. So
yeah, we're normalizing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point.
So, exactly. So with that, what has been your biggest learning moment from the podcast? Whether it's from a guest, whether it's from the stories they've told, or a method or a tool they've used to help them, what's been one of the biggest things you've took from this?
I think, like, a summary of what all of our guests taught me personally is how crucial it is to approach anyone in that inclusive manner. Everyone has their own things going on, whether it's neurodiversity or just how they're feeling that day, that it affects how they see the world, it affects how they do their day-to-day actions. Trying to approach everyone in that inclusive manner, it's going back to what Tony Fretwell said about how if we treat everyone as if everyone's neurodiverse, the world would be a better place. It's like when Scott Burns said that we should think about what the other person's thinking.
Because as a society, we're diverse, so it's making sure we include everybody, and hopefully people that have listened to this from both sides, who are not disabled, who are interested in what other people think, and like, what can I do to help? How can I make this more accessible? How can I be more accessible and understanding as a person? If you go away and think about it on either side, then I think we've done a good job.
Or like trying to include everyone in it, basically. That I think, or how when Tom Harrison was like, why don't we teach everyone as if everyone was dyslexic? It's like,
if we understood how dyslexic people and dyspraxic people and other things work, then should we not weight our coaching towards that? Like, is that not a better way, or are there tools that we're not using in coaching and teaching that would help everyone?
To make the world more inclusive, basically, and we can do that once we change our actions.
Superb. Yeah, no, I completely agree with those examples. I think they're such strong messages, and they were reoccurring themes from all our guests. And again, I think the power of their messages was really strong. The other thing that stood out to me was Tom Harrison talked about how he was supporting a player in the England program, and it was to do with the fact that he doesn't always answer his phone because he doesn't know whether it's a call he should take or whether he's got the time to do it. And the smallest thing was like he put emojis next to the names of the people, so then when it rang, he knew that the emoji gave him the reference of this is an important call to answer. Or
when I moved into the England environment, because I had loads of numbers that were priority England players and management, I'd put like a little rose next to their name, so I knew where they worked when it was coming through on a WhatsApp. Put like a red rose next to a few names, when these guys are the guys you have to reply to. If they message you, you reply to them within that day, sort of thing.
This call can be left till later, and I thought it was so good. And with every intention, I went away going, I'm going to do this, and then I got distracted and didn't do any of it. And I've just remembered I haven't done it still yet, but I thought it was superb as a idea. I definitely do think it's good.
Kind of similar question, but a bit different. What is something specific you've learned from, I guess, about neurodiversity in sport?
That's a really good question. And
there's a thin line between the two questions. I think maybe.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so I think what's been really interesting from the guests when they're talking about it is some of them have kind of known from the very beginning, some of them have known as they've got older. And it was this idea that once they expressed it, they talked about it, they became more open from it, was just how people around them started to, in some ways, accept the little things that they did. So again, standing out in my mind straight away is Tony Fretwell, where he talked about how as soon as the meetings are finished, that's it. He goes and books into another hotel because in his head work's done and he's finished. And at the point when he actually had to explain a little bit more about himself and his autism, then all of a sudden people go, well, that makes a lot more sense. We now and they were so welcoming, and people just go, right, Tony's off, and it's done.
You can envisage when everybody's staying in one location, where's Tony? He's up the road. End of a meeting. Where's Tony? He's gone. You could see that starts to create a bit of a challenge about my attitude and the way I'm behaving.
It was the same where, like, Scott was explaining how when he lost his eyesight, and that you don't necessarily know that at first, but as soon as that was mentioned, it was like, oh, all right, okay, that's different. Like, let us know what you need, but other than that, we crack on, and everything's like, you know, within that split second, it might feel like a big deal, but once it's been mentioned, everyone's really welcoming and accepting of it. But the other part would probably be is that there's probably just not enough knowledge in the environment still and the people around them to maybe sometimes give them that little bit of extra support that they need. And I've got to be honest, so my brother's been listening to the podcast, and he's on the phone to me quite a bit to then ask me lots of questions, and he looks at it from a professional performance point of view, and he's trying to get his head around some of the thinking that we're proposing in the conversations with people, and he's trying to figure out how that actually becomes like real life for him. And I think that's been really, really supportive as well, in terms of like it's getting people to think about it, and that's obviously down to the guests.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think as well, when you were speaking about what Tony said, like that's kind of similar as well with Alicia. Like, she doesn't do the post-match conferences.
Where do you sit? How do you sit? What do you do?
So
How does that
me,
go?
I sort of have like a 20-minute cap on meetings, and I've kind of let the coaches know, but obviously they can't always help that. So when I feel myself like staring out the window, looking at the lights, like listening to other noises in the room, I kind of have like a secret deal with the coaches. Like, I just take myself out of the meeting for like 5-10, go and make a tea, go and just like have a moment to myself, and then come back in, and I'm sort of, my concentrations come back a little bit, and I can do that as many times as I want.
And they know about it. Like, once, like when it comes to sport as well, I think you feel like it's gonna ruin your world, or people are gonna your life, or people are gonna think or see you differently. But then you say it, and sometimes people, yeah, don't get me wrong, there could be negative times as well, but most of the times, especially people who are close to you, they will understand. They will greet you with open arms. They will adapt to you and to what you, or whoever out there with the neurodiversity, they will adapt to what is best for you. So, and they will make exceptions. They're not exceptions, they're just the way you feel better, day-to-day life activities, things you don't like, things you like. And I think that's important. It's important to, especially in sport, because you are seen as this great coach, great athlete, high following, you're an inspiration to people. So sometimes it can feel scary to come out. It's like Alicia, like, she hasn't really spoken about this before. It's kind of scary to come out with your real persona, with whatever's going behind closed doors. But it's important too, because you will be, if anything, more of an inspiration. And it just, once again, it's bringing that inclusivity and that great connection between people in sport.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that as well. Bring mentioning Alicia reminded me of one of the stories Alicia told us around the kit and the kit they were before the events, and actually sometimes it's not necessarily the comfortablest thing, and the thing that she feels like she's comfortable in wearing within the textures and everything on her body.
We often get like new kit, and especially match kit, and the sensation for me of like wearing brand new clothes really throws me off. So like sometimes the coaches they'll just wash it before the game, so then it's not like something new in your environment, and it's not like, it doesn't feel weird, and it's actually really helpful. And like I do appreciate sometimes that quite a lot, but I don't think people necessarily get that. So I guess like for like grassroots clubs and stuff, like if you get new kit, just maybe just like take the labels off, take the stress out of stuff. It really does help.
And it's funny because it just got me thinking again. So Noah played last week, and they've got a brand new kit. Yeah. And he wore his match day socks for the first time because he wanted to be like everybody else. And halfway through the warm-up, we told him to go inside and put his own socks on because he could not get through the warm-up because the texture was just not right.
Feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that got me thinking about that in terms of how we do try and uniform our teams and our athletes, and we do try and put them into something where, is it an old regimented way? Is it like looking at it from a school uniform point of view? Really interesting. I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about Saracens rugby this year allow their players to turn up for home matches wearing whatever they want to wear, so they can turn up in any clothing that they're comfortable with. Yeah. And you go, well, that's great, because that might actually be for a marketing purpose and a sponsorship of an individual, but actually it could actually just be really good, because that might just allow some people to turn up wearing the clothes that they feel comfortable in, and not feeling like they have to conform and wear something. And I just found that was a really interesting one, and I can completely understand where that comes from. So yeah, really, really good moments of learning from the actual people in the sport themselves. So my last question for you today is, now that Series 1 has been done and wrapped up, and we're starting to look ahead to Series 2, and we've started to get our guests lined up, and we're starting to get our recordings into the diary, what do you think will be different for us, and what do you think might be the changes that are coming?
The first change that I hope for, and hopefully many more people are hoping for as well, is to have more female athletes and coaches as well on. I think because women's sports are so small and not really covered that much, now they are, with the women's football winning the Euros. But anyways, I think, because female sports are just kind of not as exposed as males, of course, and plus adding a neurodiverse aspect to it as well, it's an extreme, it's an even bigger niche. So I think finding some amazing inspirational ladies such as Alicia will be pretty good for the podcast, pretty good for inspiring others out there as well.
100% agree. First of all, it's great to see the England women winning the Euros again and being the first English football team to win off British soil. So I think really well done to those. And a massive shout out to someone like Lucy Bronze, who's in that England team. Lucy Bronze came out, I think, a year and a half ago, about her autism. Now, I'm not sure if Lucy listens to the podcast, but it'd be great if she would come on and have a chat with us. But I'm imagining a lot of people want to talk to her right now. But again, like, I 100% agree. Getting the female athletes to come on and share their stories, as we know that it sometimes is a little bit longer for a female to be diagnosed with some neurodiversity. I think the fact that the women's sport is on the rise, and that young girls are really getting into the sport at the moment due to the amount that they're seeing on TV with the cricket, their athletics, the football, the rugby. It'd be great to have a bigger range of female guests to support what we're doing. So I think that's a great answer. I think from my point of view, Tatiana, the two things that I would consider is we want to make this more accessible for everybody. So I think we know ourselves, this was a first series and we weren't sure how we were going to do it. We'd not really worked with each other before. But having seen what we feel is a good starting point and some successful stories that we shared, I think maybe we need to invest in some new microphones or our recording equipment just to make sure we can get it out there so that the listeners get even better quality of what they're hearing. I'd still love to be able to do a couple of the shows what go out on YouTube with maybe someone who can do sign language in the actual bottom of the screen to try and support those who may have a deaf or be able to struggle with a hearing. And then the other thing that I'd really like to kind of bring into the next series and the series as we go on is the idea also around the physical disability and the neurological disorders. In terms of, I still want to go and delve into this idea around beyond perception. So the things that aren't always natural or you don't necessarily see and know that that's something with that person. So I'm hoping we might get some different people who've had some different experiences and are just really keen to share their stories as well. Again, just keeping this whole idea going that when we see people in sport, it's amazing what they do, but sometimes there's a little bit more behind it, like why they're there and how they've got there. So that's what I'd kind of like to hope for the next series or the next couple of series.
100%. No, I completely agree. It will be, that's what we want to do. We want to go through that beyond above and beyond perception, change that stigma around certain disorders, disabilities, physical, mental, just everything to make it more inclusive and for people to be educated, to find themselves in the stories, to feel that they can relate to someone, try the things that work for someone that might work for them. There's just so many combinations that this podcast could bring to people that I completely agree to what you're saying, and hopefully that does happen in the future.
Well, I am hoping so because we do have guests lined up. They have been reaching out and asking for us to talk to them. We've approached a couple of people. I'm really happy to say we do have a female who's potentially lined up to join us already, maybe even two. We are branching out into a couple of different sports as well, which will be nice. And as always, there's always a few guests who I know from the good old days who are still going to be interested in coming on as well. So I'm really looking forward to actually getting the next series recorded and getting it out there to everybody. Hopefully they keep subscribing and liking and leaving some feedback for us, because that's definitely something we want to see more of.
Yeah, I think a big part of this all is, of course, the listeners. We're doing this for, like I said, to educate, to really get more information out there, and of course any engagement interactions from the listeners will be extremely useful. So as long as you can like this episode and the previous ones as well, of course comment, DM us on our Instagram, Beyond Perception Podcast, to hear your thoughts, your stories. It'll be really helpful for both sides of this podcast. But we hope that all the cups of tea that you've had listening to this podcast, all the speakers you probably blasted and all the headphones you used are still working. I hope those teas were delicious, and just get ready for maybe more, better, and newer things in the future.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you to everybody for season 1 and all your support, and we look forward to seeing you all in season 2. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Done.